All right, let's talk about one of the most high-stakes moments for any IT leader, the big interview for a CIO or IT manager role. Look, your success here isn't just about your tech know-how. It's about showing you have a clear, strategic vision from the second you walk in. So let's dive right in.
This question. It seems so simple, doesn't it? But it's a massive test of your entire leadership philosophy. A generic answer like, "I'll get to know the team," just won't cut it. They want to see a plan. They want to see a leader in action. And today, we're going to show you exactly how to give them.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with the challenge itself, then we'll walk through this powerful three-phase framework: learn, plan, and execute. And I'll show you how you can use this structure to frame your answers to pretty much any question they throw at you.
The real trick in these interviews is to prove you're more than just a technologist. You're a business strategist who happens to use technology as your tool. Interviewers are screening for structured thinking, for business smarts, and for a clear vision of how you're going to lead.
And this is your secret weapon. The 90-day plan isn't just some checklist you follow after you get the job. No, it's the framework you use in the interview to show them exactly how you think and operate. It tells a single, powerful story of leadership.
And the plan itself is beautifully simple. It's built on three logical phases. First, you learn. Then, you plan, based on everything you just discovered. And finally, you execute that plan. Let's break down how this becomes the key to unlocking those tough interview questions.
Okay, phase 1. Think of this as your intelligence gathering mission. For the first 30 days, your #1 job is to listen and assess. You are not there to make massive, sweeping changes. You're there to understand the terrain.
So what exactly are you assessing? Well, you're focusing on these 5 pillars. See external partnerships. Your assessment here gives you the perfect answer to a question about vendor management. You can explain that your philosophy is to treat vendors like true partners, and that work begins on day 1 by understanding the health of those key relationships.
All right, here's a classic interview question. How would you tackle this using what we just talked about, the learn phase?
You answer by rooting your story in the learn phase. You explain that your first 30 days are all about listening. You talk about conducting listening tours with key stakeholders, with suppliers, even with customers. This shows that for you, trust isn't about giving orders. It's about a real, genuine effort to understand the business first.
And here's another one they absolutely love to ask. It's a test of your ability to make an impact without, breaking everything.
And your answer, again, it all comes back to listening. You explain that the best quick wins aren't about launching some massive project. They're about solving small, immediate frustrations you heard about on your listening tour. You can literally say, "I'd ask my colleagues, what's one report or piece of data that would make your job easier?" And then you deliver it. That's how you score an early victory and show you're a responsive partner.
Okay, let's move on to phase 2. After 30 days of absorbing all that information, you shift gears into planning. This is where you turn all those insights and conversations into an actual, coherent strategy.
And your planning isn't just some random brainstorming session. It's a methodical 6-step process. You define the purpose, you capture what the business really needs, you assess what your team can actually deliver, you develop a plan with clear metrics, and then critically, you validate and communicate that plan. This proves you're a systematic, thoughtful leader.
This one right here is probably the most critical question for any CIO or IT leader. How do you make sure IT is a strategic partner, not just a cost center?
Your answer shows that you think about strategy like a portfolio. In your plan phase, you'd explain how you categorize initiatives into these 2 buckets. This structure perfectly answers that other classic question: how do you balance keeping the lights on with driving innovation? It shows you have a real plan for managing both today's needs and tomorrow's vision.
This question is designed to test how you make tough calls. With limited time and money, how do you decide what gets done and what has to wait?
The most important thing here is to show you have a system. You explain that during your plan phase, you'd establish clear service level agreements, or SLAs. Just like it says here, these agreements define exactly what IT delivers and how success is measured. This creates a transparent way to talk about priorities with the business based on data and value, not just on who yells the loudest.
So we've learned, we've planned, and now it's time to deliver. Phase 3, from day 60 to 90, is all about execution. This is where the rubber meets the road, and your leadership is really put to the test.
These are the signs of strong execution. If someone asks how you manage stakeholder engagement, your answer is built right off this list. You don't just say, "I have meetings." No, you talk about putting in clear processes for demand management, transparent project governance, and a solid commitment to frequent communication. That systematic approach is how you keep everyone on the same page.
At the end of the day, accountability is everything. An interviewer needs to know how you're going to prove that IT is actually delivering real, measurable value. Your answer is rooted in the execute phase, and it's all about data. You explain that you measure success with clear metrics that you already established back in the planning phase. You talk about setting up KPIs across these key areas. And hey, if they ask how you develop your IT team, you can point right to people attributes and explain how measuring those skills helps you find gaps and create real data-driven growth plans for your people.
And ultimately, all of this leads to one thing: value management. You explain that you don't track metrics just for fun. You use them to connect every single IT action back to tangible business results. This focus on value reinforces accountability and proves your IT department is a true partner in growing the business.
So, let's step back for a second. Why does this work so incredibly well? Because using this learn, plan, execute framework in your interview does all of this. It turns what could be a series of disconnected, random questions into one single cohesive story about a strategic, structured, and business-savvy leader. It just screams confidence and proves you're ready for the job.
So the final takeaway is this: your time as a leader doesn't start on your first day in the office. It starts in that interview room. This framework gives you the power to tell a really compelling story of leadership. The only question left is, how are you going to tell yours?